Hi, how are you all? My name's Ken. As you can see, I'm probably the laziest gardener you've ever seen. You know, this is what I do when I'm gardening, sitting in my chair wheeling about and removing all the aphids with this paintbrush. A very, very useful tool, of course. But I do apologize for not making any frequent videos, and due to the fact that I work a lot of hours running a business, and I played a lot of table tennis as well, so just finding the time to make videos is not always easy. And especially I have so many roses as well, and this is only a side hobby that I do. So I am really sorry, but now the weather is getting a little bit better now, and our roses are almost starting to bloom. So I'll be starting to make more videos. So today I had a visit from a lady called Lynn Greenfinger. As it happens, she is my sister, who also has a channel. I don't know how she came up with the name Lynn Greenfinger. It's not even her surname, but in UK and certain parts of the world, green finger means someone is good with plants and someone enjoys it. So I suppose it fits her style, I suppose. But she's not that good with roses. She's really jealous that my roses are healthier than hers. But anyway, she said to me, "Oh brother, why don't you make a video? You know, your roses are looking really useful, and you know, people start to remember who you are." And I said, well, you know, it's just not really much to see this time of the year, other than blooms. I do apologize for the lighting there. But the weather is nice today, and I said I might make one later on, you know, if I have the time. So here I am, my first video of 2025, and hopefully there's more to come, as we are gonna get some pretty decent weather for next week. So let's not waste time, and let's go and have a look around my garden. And of course there isn't anything blooming at the moment, but I just want to show my face so that you haven't forgotten who I am. Okay, that is my neighbor's garden. It is massive. Look at it, humongous. But unfortunately there is a lot of big trees which would prevent many roses to thrive. So I don't like that garden, although it is very big. And of course his neighbor's garden is also very big. Look at that. I can plant at least 350 roses in there. It's huge. And I'm so jealous. Look at my garden is quite small compared to theirs. I'm jealous. As the saying goes, it's not about the size, it's what you do with it that counts. Actually, that sounded quite weird, but I was talking about the size of the garden, so stop it, whatever you guys are thinking. So anyway, back to my garden, or yard, whatever you call it. It used to be a garden, a really nice garden, but I got rid of all the grass and much of its soil. So now I have a fairly maintenance-free garden. Perhaps you could call it a yard or garden, or maybe if I could come up with a new word called yarden. Yeah, yarden, that might be a nice word. But I have been very busy, because I think this tree here is so annoying. Honestly, there's just so much work involved. The sweeping of the leaves and the seedlings of these trees are so annoying. Look, let's give you an idea. See, that is an empty pot there, and those seedlings self-seed literally everywhere, honestly. And they even go all the way up my gutter as well. And if left untouched, I reckon I could have a mini forest going up in there. So really annoying, and there's just nothing I can do about it, because I think that those trees behind there is preserved. You can't chop it down, unfortunately. And that wire there you see is a new drip irrigation that I've installed. Well, I haven't finished installing it yet, because I am going away for 2 weeks in July, and I think in the height of summer, without any water or drink, I think most of my potted roses will not stand a chance. So hopefully this is a very worthwhile purchase. I think my sister could do with one of these, because she's never at home as well. But there is my garden, and a lot of my roses are looking really good. I don't see any disease, black spots, yellow leaves, or powder mildew, which is a very good sign. And this is a new rose which I've just purchased, bare root. This is a rose called Henry Delbar. That's a yellow one next to Poet's Wife and Golden Celebration. And this is another one here called Black Parfumé de Provence. And let's see how black it would go. Of course, there isn't no such a thing as black rose, and many companies try to sell you a black rose, but it's never. There is no such a thing as black rose. But this might even come close, and I think it has a very good perfume as well, because it's called a Parfumé range. And this one is Judi Dench, previous in the middle of the border, in full sun. For what absolutely no reason, it never really kind of did well. First couple of years it was great, but after that all I got was just one stem, that's it. And I dug it up, wanting to throw it away along with the Darcy Bustle, and I thought, well, perhaps I might sort of give it another chance and replant it in a pot. And it has really responded amazingly. I've got so many new fresh growth. It's unbelievable but just by moving it from the ground to the pot can change. Absolutely unbelievable. And I do have a couple of what is it called, Madame Isaac Perrier. That is a cutting, and that is a bare root. And this one is a rose called Meteor. Now I've got one at the front in my neighbour's garden, in their pot, but I don't like to admire it and then spend time on their side of the garden. I'll look silly. So I thought, well, I'm gonna have one in my garden. And the thing is, this rose is quite difficult to blend in your garden, because the color is just so bright and vibrant. So I didn't want to sort of, it just stands out like a sore thumb basically. So I put it in a pot, and it is quite a compact variety, so I'm sure this pot is fine for the first few years. And this new one here is a rose called Lady Capri, and this is a Tantau rose from Lotum, Lotum, a company in Holland. I think my sister says it better than I do. I'm gonna perhaps give it another shot. Tuicentrum Lotum. Yeah, Tuicentrum Lotum. I think I sounded perfect. And this one is a rose called Princess Charlotte de Monaco. And previously I had a couple that died on me a year ago. Of course, it wasn't a fault of mine. I don't know what these sellers do with roses. I mean, how can you kill a rose? I mean, it's not that easy, is it? So anyway, this is, glad to say it is alive. And I know many people too, in fact. I won't mention any names, but yeah, they are very jealous that I've got this rose. His name begins with J anyway, and he has a friend called Gavin, so I won't say much. But yeah, he's gutted that I've got this rose, and looks like he'll have to wait till next year, and I might just even order a few more so he doesn't get it. Yeah, I've always wanted this rose. I know it smells amazing, and it's by Meiland. Long-lasting flowers. Wow, perfect, isn't it? And this one is a rose called Princess de Luxembourg, and another one called Rosemary Ann. I think these are by Tantau, and here's another one as well called Eudora. I don't know who bred this, but I know it looks amazing in picture. And in this part of the garden, I don't like this part of the garden. It used to be covered with bindweed, but this year I'm really determined to dig them out. And I used to hate it, but now I kind of really don't mind it, because digging up the roots, it just really makes me feel good now, and I know how to do it. Before I just didn't know how to do it, but now just digging it up really makes me feel good. They're so nasty because they have these roots that called runners, and they just run along the ground and then basically just spread everywhere. But the thing is, I can't do anything about it because they are coming from under the fence on the back of my neighbor. Yeah. But yeah, what a horrible. I know there are a few ways of getting rid of it, like by laying this felt and what you call it, weed killer. But I do it the old-fashioned way and dig it up by hand, which I actually enjoyed. That might be a bit odd, but I enjoy it. And this is my white border. All my roses are not specified by the color, unfortunately, but this one I thought, well, perhaps I can try to create a white border like my sister. So this one there is a white Parfuma de Provence, and that is a white one, timeless cream, I think. And then, well, not quite white, but that is Novalis, also known as Poseidon. And this one is Desdemona, and there's another Earth Angel. And look at this Earth Angel. What a fantastic, really lovely healthy bush. And that is a cutting, only 2 years old cutting. Fantastic, really looking forward to that. I am really ashamed to even show you this rose, and shame and saddened at the same time. And this rose was one of the most fragrant rose in my garden last year, and I only had it for a year. And this rose is called Yves Piaget, and for no absolute reason, it just died. I mean, comes in spring, it was all right, everything was green, but all my other roses were sprouting new growth, and this one just nothing. And I pruned it down a bit lower, hoping, you know, something would happen, but no, nothing happened. And then I took it out of the pot and then gave it some new soil and some rooting powder, hoping that it would give it a shot at trying to revive it. But another few weeks later, everything just went from bad to worse. It really is so sad, and I don't, for no reason, absolutely no reason why it died. I just can't think of it, because I really, you know, put my heart trying to keep this rose, you know, alive. Even when on a rainy day, I'll bring it in under the canopy to stop it, you know, getting too wet. And I think for the reason why it died was because the container itself was sitting in one of the trays, and perhaps there was water in the tray, and it just might have kind of like waterlogged and died that way. But the thing is, all my container roses, every single one of them were treated in the same way. No, you know, no different. but yet this one died. So I contacted this company who sold me this rose. Look, I've only had this rose for, I don't know, I said just a year, but they said it was just over a year, and they wasn't going to send me any replacement. And I wrote them an email. I said to them, look, that's really unfair. You know, I've only had this rose for over a year. You know, it's not a fault of mine. You know, and after some persuasion, they said, okay, what we'll do is we'll send you a replacement as long as I pay for postage. And I say, okay, fair enough. But they said I have to wait for another year for bare root, and I said I can't wait for another year for a bare root. You know. I just can't not have this rose not in my garden for a year. So they sent me this. And I said, I'll pay for more money for a potted then. And they agreed, so I paid, I think, £13 total. And this is what I got. Look at that. Really tiny little, more like a cutting than a bush. So I just kind of like let it go from there. So next year I'm going to order another 2 more and give it another shot, because I really adore this fragrance. I've always knew this is quite a difficult rose to keep alive, or rather breed, but I didn't think it was that difficult. But I'm not going to give it up. I'm going to give it another shot. So yeah. And this is my newly installed rose arch, which I installed late last year. And on one side I've got a rose called Spirit of Freedom by David Austin, and I think that is going to be discontinued at some point. And then on the opposite side I've got a rose called Wallerton Old Hall with a clematis. I don't normally grow clematis, but I think that's going to look really nice, a good combination. I'm not going to go through all the roses, because that would be silly and pointless, because there's pointless. And what is in flower is a tree peony. Not very familiar with the peonies, but I just know a lot of I did have a lot of peonies in my garden, and this year I have dug out quite a lot. Even when they were in bud, I just got rid of it because they were taking up just so much space, and I don't like the fact that they don't last very long. I mean, down there, for instance, there was a peony called Coral Charm, I think, and it was just growing so big, had buds, and it was blocking up this rose here, a newly planted rose, a rose called McCartney rose, and I just dug it up alongside some of these Astromeras. These really just, well, I don't know how they self-seed or multiply quite easily, in fact. And in my garden, I swear the weeds can communicate with each other, because honestly, every weed is in my garden. It's like, come on, let's go to Ken's garden. But yeah, I just can't help it. It's just so much weed. And these ones here, Verbena, they self-seed so easily as well. And then what have we here? Weed. I think these are not weeds. These are poppies. And then in there, that is a self-seedling geranium. And they're all over my garden. It's just so annoying now, and it's becoming very, very evasive. And this new one here is called Frederick Minstrel. Can't wait to see that in flower. What else is new? That turtle isn't new. Are you? You're not new, are you? Oi, come here. Come on, get up. I'll leave that alone. That's another new, another new one? This one is Timeless Pink. I've got all the timeless ones. I think they do a red, white, cream, and purple. I think that one's Timeless Purple. There's another one here called Cathedral Bell. also known as Soul Sisters, Sister Emmanuel, I beg your pardon. But there you have it. There is my middle border, and there is another one here. It's called Red Parfumeur de Provence. I'm never a big fan of red roses. I mean, there is a few in my garden, but I've never bought any red roses. I just don't, red and white, I've just never really a big fan of this. This is called Red Parfumeur de Provence, bred by Meiland. And I've got a sweet Parfumeur de Provence at the front. And I really love the fragrance and the long-lasting blooms. And of course, it's a very healthy rose. And these two here are very, very sought after David Austin roses. One which has always been on my wish list is a rose called Abraham Darby. And this bud has been like that for about a week and a half now. Really just waiting for a good weather to open. And most likely that might be the first rose to open. And next to that is a rose called Evelyn. And this is very, very popular in the US. And these roses are discontinued in UK, but widely available in other parts of the world. Of course, they're not going to be easy to grow, of course. But there you have it. My garden is looking, well, I don't know, okay, I suppose. Actually, I'm going to show you a rose that I've just bought. And this is a rose called Porcelain Parfumeur by Kordes. My sister dropped this off for me this morning. I reckon it's been in the car for about 2 days now. Do you know what? I bet she did it on purpose. She even it fell over and snapped one of the stems. She did it on purpose to sabotage my channel, I reckon. Yeah, I think it's a very, very healthy rose and a very a vigorous rose. So give it time, it should be bounced back. And that's it, ladies and gentlemen. And when my rose starts to start blooming, I will make a video. But that's it for today. I hope you all have a lovely day.